Welcome back to another episode of The Loco Fit Show, where we redefine what healthy means to you. I'm your host, Lauren Conlon, and this week I'm joined by Coach Jill.
Hi.
And we are going to do a de-influencing fitness edition podcast. So I guess this is like a trend. It's a de-influencing trend.
It's like a trend lately for it could span from like a lot of different things, but the context that I've seen it in is like just de-influencing you from like buying garbage or just things that like maybe aren't great or don't work, or just, hey, I tried this, don't waste your money type of thing.
Yeah, which I love. And there's a plethora of things that we could do. And I'm sure we'll probably end up doing several podcasts about this at some point. But we just came up with these because, I mean, these are so prevalent still. And I think they're worthy of de-influencing.
Oh, yeah.
So, number 1, HIIT workouts for fat loss. And this one really grinds my gears. So first, let's define what I mean by this, and then you can talk about your perspective. And because when you say, the problem with a lot of things is that we say certain words and they mean a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Right. So when I'm saying HIIT workouts, I'm saying, the videos that you're seeing on, Instagram or TikTok.
Like those swipe post workouts.
Yeah, let's do these crazy, workouts, and everything has to be,
I'm
back
thinking
to
of
back.
like some absurd 40-minute glute HIIT workout.
Yeah, and
type of thing.
Constantly doing those. Like everything. Like, listen, I love supersets. I love getting in a quick workout. I'm not in the gym forever, right? But a lot of people think that the best way to lose fat is to only do this kind of training. And it's really metabolically taxing for a lot of people, number 1. And not it's just taxing in a way where you can't really have the right output, right? Like you're just crushing your nervous system, but you're not actually progressing in weight. And it feels hard, but you're not really making any long-term progress.
Yeah.
Right? Or people who are just constantly going to classes.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against classes because I think that they can be really fun. I understand the community aspect
social
of it.
aspect,
Yeah, like that's usually why most people want to go. They also are just like, I don't want to think. I just kind of want to go be told what to do. So again, totally get it. But if you're only doing those kinds of workouts because you think that is superior to fat loss, want to kind of de-influence
that as your only option.
Yes.
And I guess the way I kind of see this too is like when, at least if we're seeing a lot of these things on like Instagram or what people are considering HIIT, I could see a video and they could be like, oh, this is a 30-minute or 40-minute HIIT workout. And when I'm talking about high intensity interval training, when we think about that, that's not going to be something that takes 40 minutes because we're talking about like all out maximal efforts of maybe sprints, sled pushes, cardio, whatever you're doing. So that's like my definition of a HIIT interval or HIIT workout, that it's not going to last that long. So are we doing HIIT properly, or is this just your way of putting together like a back-to-back circuit that is, a supersets that keep the intensity high and keep your heart rate up, right? So that's kind of my definition, and where I kind of see, hey, like HIIT isn't necessarily the only thing you need to do if you want to lose body fat. And we can also do low intensity, moderate intensity, steady state cardio. And, when we're thinking about high intensity interval training and the tax that it has on your body, it can also benefit you to maybe opt for a lower intensity mode because of that stress you're placing on the body from HIIT. So you might feel a little bit more inflamed. It may take a lot out of you for HIIT, where if you maybe changed your cardio to a different intensity, you might be able to actually give more to resistance training on its own.
And a lot of people are underutilizing resistance training as their primary mode of training, right? And that's where I think that, as always, everything is context dependent. So if we're looking at what is like the most bang for your buck, it is, resistance training with progressive overload. Like that is going to be the best for muscle building, which is going to be the best for like health and longevity and probably your physique goals as well. Now, this is not to say that you can't do HIIT workouts or HIIT as you're defining it for cardio or anything like that. Like totally support that. But if you're solely focused on just having a quote unquote hard workout where you feel like you're dying every time, right? Big air quotes here, because that feels like, oh, I feel like I'm doing something, right?
Yeah.
But if we really look at like, okay, what are repeated efforts that we can do time and time again? If you are doing that for a few sessions or a few weeks and then you get hurt, right? Or you're feeling constantly burned out from that. Like if you're doing Orange Theory 4 times a week or something, right? And you're not fueling properly, we're going to run into some issues down the road, right? That is where I have a problem with it. I think if you want to add a class like that in once or twice a week and you're eating properly, you're sleeping properly, you're doing all these things, I think it's good to go. However, I will say caveat, like me and HIIT, my body doesn't really respond too well to it, right? Yeah. Not for me. Some people love it. They respond great to it. Like from a physical perspective, they respond to it. Mentally, they love it. So who am I to say like you should do this or you shouldn't do this? Like you have to really say, okay, what do I also enjoy? What do I like? Like what can supplement my training? So this is not to say that you shouldn't ever do that kind of stuff, but making that the sole focus and thinking that's the only way to lose fat, because that's really what the gripe is in terms of my issue with it, how it's marketed. It's like, this is better for you, because what people are taking, again, a little bit of a misinterpretation of the research, is some people are looking at, they've looked at some of the HIIT studies in terms of what you're talking about, true HIIT, like true high intensity intervals with adequate rest, repeat that, 4 to 6 times, et cetera, et cetera. They're looking at that and they're saying, oh, okay, well, there's higher EPOC with that versus traditional steady state cardio. So this must be better, right? Because you're burning more calories after the effort to recover from it, and you're doing it in a shorter period of time. It's just, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily superior, right? Like you can use that as a tool, but it doesn't mean it's the only way to do it. And then when we're taking these workouts that are not actually even HIIT workouts and we're saying that they're doing that, it's like, that's where the issue, that's where the issue is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think part of it too is like just context of like what your goals are. Like if your goal is to build muscle, we need to tailor training to that, in the way that we're supporting that as the primary goal. So if we're doing a lot of like just the body weight plyometrics and we're not putting a lot of that work into like resistance training and progressively overloading, we're kind of falling short where we don't need to be.
I think a lot of people still hear things like muscle building and progressive overload and challenging yourself in that way, and they think, oh, well, I have to be squatting heavy weight and doing sets of 4. No. Nobody said that. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff, right? This does not mean that you need to become this like meathead who all of a sudden is training.
The new Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah. Like, it's, you don't have to walk into the gym and just be like, lightweight and like just
invisible
go.
lats.
Yeah. This is not what we're talking about. Most people, if they added a little bit of muscle to their body, I'm talking 2 to 3 pounds, they would like their physique a lot more, right? So this is where I think that has to be a huge shift, and we're getting better. I think the industry and just people's perception is getting better, but we still definitely have a far way to go, which leads nicely into the next.
I love that segue.
What a good segue, right? I didn't even plan that.
You totally did not plan that.
No, I did. No, I definitely did not, everybody, but I nailed it.
I was, very impressed. Claps for you.
Claps all around. The next one that we're going to de-influence you from, which, Jill kindly reminded is still around, would be waist trainers and using belts incorrectly, meaning using weight belts as a way to keep your waist smaller. Not to help like brace.
Not really necessarily using it to like brace for like heavy lifts, but you're just kind of wearing it around the gym for like bicep curls or to kind of keep your core tight, or maybe as a reminder to keep your core tight. I'm not really sure a lot of the rationale behind it.
The waist trainers, I mean, they've been around forever. Waist trainers have, and they're probably never going anywhere.
Unfortunately, and probably not anytime. No, I don't see them going anywhere.
I think there's two, I think there's like 2 camps that this happens in. One, obviously the physique competitor world is trying to do anything and everything to make their waist smaller. Like it's the perpetual just nature of the sport, men and women, like a smaller waist.
A waist trainer. Yeah. Oh, I need one. Yeah.
That's not going anywhere, because all of the judging criteria, it would be better with a smaller waist. So that's first and foremost. But secondly, I see this a lot just kind of even in just general public, because it's something that is very, I think it feels like you're doing a lot,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like,
I could see that
right?
too.
Like there's a
feels
feedback
like
of, I'm
Yeah.
putting this on. It's tight. Oh,
yeah,
it's working.
tight. Oh,
I'm sweating.
Like maybe that like influences their eating behaviors for the day. Like I still see a lot of women at my gym who are wearing waist trainers while they train or do cardio. Not the majority, thankfully, but like I will see a few like here and there. And that's kind of this rationale like I would think of too. Like it just kind of makes them feel like they're doing something. And I mean, it could help influence their choices. I don't know, but
yeah,
I could see it making them feel like something's happening.
Yeah.
When we know, you know.
Yeah, I don't believe that there's any long-term changes to your waist with the waist trainer. One thing I do see with long-term use is many people will get kind of that lower bulge.
Yeah,
and these are lean individuals. This is not body fat. This is not bloating. This is people who are wearing waist trainers constantly because this is pushing in and it's putting pressure on the bottom and it's creating this little pooch at the bottom here, which women have naturally,
we
right?
already,
It's not like most people don't have a perfectly flat stomach, but it becomes this very obvious distension. And it's very strange because I'm like, well, why would you want to trade one off for the other? And then if you're constantly wearing this, especially when we're training and doing cardio, you're
then relying on that waist trainer
to protect your back and your core.
Yeah, for core engagement, core stability. So, you know, I would imagine after years of use to transition from, or maybe your waist trainer breaks, who knows? But transitioning from that to not wearing one probably wouldn't look very pretty if you've spent so long just not engaging your core yourself and not building that yourself.
Yeah, it's going to have some long-term issues just in terms of your core and the strength there. And, you know, I'm all about having a smaller waist, right? Like that's certainly appealing, but like at what cost? You know, are we creating like back issues because of this? And I don't think that the majority of people wear it long enough for it to be a problem. I think that like anything, there are people who take things out of context. I remember years ago, you know, this was like 10 years ago when all the, you know, a handful of the big teams at the time, the physique world, you know, people were wearing multiple at a time, like three squeams at a time and, you know, having some, you know, bladder issues and prolapse from that. And now, you know, one person hears that and they think, oh my gosh, like now is the average person that wears it 3 times a week, is that happening to them? No, it's not. But obviously when someone is using this in an extreme way, could that happen? Certainly. I don't think that it's completely rearranging like your organs, you know, it's nothing like that, but I do think that it can create some structural changes over time. I've just seen that a lot of times people's just core just looks off, like something about it looks off when they've worn it for too long. And I don't know if that's a detrained effect, like the rest of their body is trained, but like that's not, or if it is just like the
lack of
the
core
pushing.
engagement.
Yeah. Overall, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. And there are certainly other ways to, you know, you can build up other areas of your body to make your waist. Trust me, I have a huge waist. I'm never going to have a tiny waist. I don't have any hips and I don't have a tiny waist. So I am very square. So it's not like I have like the secrets to the kingdom, right? Clearly I've never worn a waist trainer. It's pretty obvious. But it's one of those things that I don't think that the juice is worth the squeeze. Yeah. And there are 1,000 other things that we can focus on.
You could be working on like that time.
So many other things that you could be doing that would be more beneficial for you.
And those things are going to be doing something too.
Yes. And long-term, again, like the long-term implications, if you are wearing this all the time, and you aren't strengthening your core and using your body in a whole, like using the whole chain, you know, effectively, which already when people are prioritizing, especially bodybuilders, are notorious for only training certain body parts, that's where they start to develop all these movement patterns, and then they start to develop all these overuse injuries, and that can be its problem in and of itself. And, you know, some people can, you know, talk down on functional training or, you know, whatever you want to call it, because again, what does that mean, right? There's all these different definitions.
There's so many ways you can...
The idea of being, you know, training in a functional way would be like, hey, are you adapted for everyday movement? Are you actually training that's going to support you? Because for the majority of us, like, that's why we're training, is to be able to, like, do things and have transference.
Yeah.
You know,
to do things easier.
Yeah. And to actually like, that's where the health span part comes in as well. So yeah, let's not do those. And if you are going to wear a belt because you are training heavy, that is to brace your core, and to protect your core. I'm someone who, even when I was training for like powerlifting and lifting pretty heavy, I never liked belts. I always found them to be extremely uncomfortable and just like distracting.
I love the belt. I haven't used it in a minute. I need to because I tweaked my back a couple weeks ago. Clearly.
Jill, we got to influence you.
But I love recommending, if you are someone, I'm not by any means like a power lifter, but if you're working with, you know, decently heavy weights, and, you know, I think it could be useful to get a little bit more output. But usually I would only throw a belt on if I know I'm around like 70% or more of my like maybe 1 RM, like whatever I know off the top of my head, right? I'm not doing math in the gym, but if I know for a fact that I'm going pretty heavy with my weights, then that would be an appropriate time to throw a weight belt on. But you wouldn't even use that for every single exercise, though. We're talking compounds.
Yeah, just the basically squat and deadlift. But even then, you don't have to. There's nothing to say that you have to. Like I said, I never did, and I know many even powerlifters who don't. So it's not something that people are not using it. You shouldn't use it to rely on it, right? You shouldn't use it to rely on it if you're lifting heavy, and you certainly shouldn't use it to make your waist smaller while you're doing, you know, bicep curls, like you said. So de-influence on that. Next one.
Check.
Next one.
Next on the chopping block.
Next is detoxes. And I mean, that's
fun.
I think this one, anybody listening is going to go, well, duh.
Duh.
Please read.
Oh my God.
Please pull this up, because I thought, you know, guys, everybody's past this, right?
And now we were.
There are certainly times where there are things that our bodies, you know, when people are in a place where they are really in like a metabolic or hormonal dysfunction from a whole shitstorm of things, and maybe their liver does need help with detoxifying, right? There are times for that. That is not most people, and there are certain compounds and supplements that will help with that. But most of them that are marketed are not that.
Are definitely not that.
Are not that. Like, this is hilarious to me.
This is so funny.
That you got this.
And let me just say, this is research, okay? I'm on TikTok, scrolling, doing my thing. It's called research.
Rabbit hole research.
Now it's research. And in my research, the only I guess downside or like consequence I've faced since I've started my research is the fact that TikTok thinks I want this, and they keep showing me ads for it. So
talk to your phone. I don't want this. I don't want it.
I don't want to detox my gut. Please stop. Who do I have to talk to at TikTok? Anyway, this is a 15-day gut cleanse, and the only ingredient is senna in this pill.
If you guys don't know what senna is, it is a laxative. So this is
nice.
So this is a 15-day course of laxatives.
Insane. And it gets better because of the way they advertise this.
Yeah.
So basically what their description is the average person is carrying 5 to 20 pounds of waste in their intestines at all times. Regular bowel movements and emptying your colon are highly recommended to reduce abdominal pain, bloating, constipation, intestinal permeability. The 15-day cleanse helps to flush out toxins that accumulate in your gut and intestines. You will feel, all in caps, this natural formula work within 12 to 24 hours.
Oh, yeah, you will.
Oh,
if you've ever taken senna, you know it's about a 12-hour time course, and then you're strapped to the bathroom.
Yeah, you are not leaving. And can expect to eliminate waste, and look and feel better.
If I don't die in 15 days. Could you imagine taking a
15
fucking laxative for 15 days?
This reminds me of a Reddit story I came across. I don't know if I should share it, but yeah, this is literally just sitting on the toilet for 2 weeks. And obviously you're going to have waste in your system. You eat, there's always something passing through. But I will say, like, every time I'm on TikTok now, it's like every other ad. And some of them will show me, like, people doing lives of, like, just showing the bottle of their gut cleanse because they're trying to sell this stuff, like, to get commission or whatever. And people would be saying, like, this helped me lose, like, 5 10, 15 pounds in just like the first 2 weeks. Can't wait to do my next cleanse. I'm like, you're just sitting on the toilet, you know?
Yeah. Senna is, what is the word? It's not habit forming. You're not addicted to it. You're like, I gotta get more Senna. I gotta get more laxative. Now, I will say there are people who do develop issues with laxatives. So that is not something funny.
Which is another reason why this is just not.
That is a very real thing. And anybody who's ever dieted quite heavily and has ever had any kind of disordered eating, it is certainly something that you can experience.
Yeah.
Because it gets really dark, like really quick, to be like, oh, I can take this and lose weight. And trust me when I say that is something that is very real. And if you haven't experienced it, I'm happy you haven't. But anyone who has knows what I'm talking about. So this is actually not something to like joke about.
No, yeah.
But the idea that, what is the word? It's not habit forming.
It's rely. Like people rely on it.
Yes, your body starts to rely on
for
Senna to actually then go to the bathroom naturally. So having a little bit every once in a while, like, hey, like sometimes like, things are happening. You gotta
stuff gets weird.
Gotta get it moving. And so I'm not against clients ever using that. If it's like a dire situation. Yeah. But there's this tea, it's called Smooth Move. It's at the grocery store and it's basically Senna leaves, right? And I mean, I've heard stories of competitors who would be drinking 8 tea bags a day.
Oh, Jesus.
And they would still not even be able to go to the bathroom. And it's, their body, of course, is in a severe calorie deficit. They're very lean. But now they're also now accustomed to using this to even get some movement going. So it can get really like bad. And like I said, there are definitely times where people's livers need extra help and need extra support for sure. And there are definitely natural supplements that can help with that. Senna is not one of them, right? Like that is
definitely
not a detox. That is literally just a clearing out. And the rebound that you're going to get, because anytime you take a laxative, that is always the one downside of it, is generally speaking, if you take a laxative, you're going to have a lot of movement and then
dehydration.
Yeah,
too.
Maybe not for a few days after because you kind of don't need to.
Yeah.
So you are going to lose weight, but then to what, you are going to gain it back because now your body is...
you're eating food again.
Yeah, and your
body's pushing that through.
But yeah, the laxative addiction is actually a real thing. And I've known people who have dealt with that. And I've even not dealt with an addiction to it, but like been in vulnerable places when you're dieting and you're like, oh my God, I can't go to the bathroom and I haven't dropped and should I just do this? And then it becomes this like cycle of whatever. And you're like, oh my God, like this is not good, because it becomes this thing where you're like, you take it and you see this change. You're like, oh yay. It can get really dicey really fast, but please guys, do not take something that has Senna in it for 15 days straight.
Yeah. And it sucks because all these ads are like marketing towards people who want to lose weight.
Yeah. Like if you just read that copy,
yeah,
that doesn't sound like anything that's that. Oh, what could it be? It doesn't sound like anything. Like that sounds like something that most people would want, and that's just like horrifying. Like when you're reading that to me,
and it's also like the buzzwords too. Like we see a lot of cleanse, detox, and most of the time, like, do we really need to detox? Do we really need to cleanse?
Yes, majority of people don't need that, which goes great to our last point with buzzwords. And this is nothing new. Yeah. This is not a new thing at all. But I thought it fit perfectly in here. And it's the idea of training to get long and lean muscles.
Specifically long and lean.
Guys. And I thought that this was kind of like out. I thought that we had kind of moved past this. And I was in New York. It was the last time I was visiting my boyfriend, and I was at the gym, and I overheard this girl she was on the phone next to me, and she was telling her friend, presuming she was either talking about a trainer or maybe someone she was following, I'm not really sure, but she was saying like, she had such a great body. It was like she had like those long and lean muscles. And I mean, it took everything in my power, not out of just pure curiosity,
to just be like, tell me what this looks like.
I want to see, what does this girl look like? What do you think I look like? Like, I just want to know, like, what is the frame of reference? Like, am I like bulky?
Who, are we looking at a celebrity reference?
Yeah.
Like, is this
girl just what? And then you brought up
Miley
something
Cyrus.
that was great about Miley. I had no idea, but share
Miley,
this in case anybody was out of the loop, like I was.
Okay, I love Miley. Okay, I was obsessed with her before and now. But she won a Grammy, and
Yay.
she, yay, yeah, whatever. Moving on. Woo. Music, yeah, go.
Award shows.
I don't even keep up with them.
No,
There's so many.
I'm like, is Grammy for music? Yeah, music.
Yeah, I was like, that's for music, right? Right? Not an Oscar? Okay.
She won the Super Bowl.
Touchdown. Anyway, Miley Cyrus went, obviously she won a Grammy, but people were looking at photos of her, like at the award ceremony, like in her outfit, and she looks awesome. But people started talking about like her arms, and they were like, Miley has Pilates arms. Like these are definitely Pilates arms. And basically, if you're not familiar with Miley Cyrus and how she just generally looks, she's always been like more of a smaller, like framed person. She's always been like, skinny. And if you start training someone who is naturally thin, a few pounds of muscle you're gonna look awesome, right? She is showing more definition in her upper body, but the thing that was going on is that people were attributing how Miley looks to Pilates. Like this is just, if you want to look like Miley Cyrus, if you want her arms, Pilates is what you gotta do. That's the way to do it. When if you've been around for any amount of time, we know that these things are going to look different for everyone just based on your starting point. So if I were to take myself and me, 10 years ago or so, when I was starting to lose weight, me just doing Pilates, I'm not going to instantly look like Miley Cyrus because I was starting out at 180 pounds. So add a little bit of muscle on me, I'm not going to be Miley Cyrus. So, everyone's starting point is going to... I know, right? God damn it. Did all this Pilates for nothing.
Canceling my membership.
But yeah, you take someone's starting point, and just because you're adding the same workout or same training modality, whatever you're doing, doesn't guarantee you the same exact results because there are so many other factors that play into that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Pilates is definitely a great workout, like nothing against Pilates.
No, yeah. It's challenging.
It's so crazy that I always hear this long and lean muscle comment, usually paired with Pilates. And it's kind of like, we see this a lot with sport as well, right? People who excel at certain sports look a certain way.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily because of how they train. It's because that's why they're excelling at that sport.
Yeah.
If someone is a swimmer, they generally have like a large back and like a wide arm span, right? That's because why they're going to excel there. If you see a certain body type doing really well in CrossFit, part of that is the training, but part of that is because that's the body type that is going to be able to handle that kind of training over and over again at a high level. Bodybuilding is the best example of that. Certain people are winning because they have a certain body type. Yeah. And like, yes, that doesn't mean that they just woke up and looked like that, obviously. Yeah. But I think a lot of times people love to take that out of the equation and then they equate things to this. And it's like, we know very well with working with clients, if someone is on the naturally leaner end and they add muscle, that looks vastly different than someone who has muscle underneath but needs to lose body fat. It looks completely different. And that's just kind of how like the genetic cookie crumbles, and doesn't mean you shouldn't do Pilates, doesn't mean you shouldn't aspire to have a certain body comp.
Doesn't mean you can't achieve your body compositional goals. It's going to look very different.
Yeah. And no training is going to create long and lean muscles. How your muscles look is going to be dependent on your insertions and how much body fat you have and how much muscle you have and all of these other things. I mean, it's not, I can wish all I want that I could have short little shoulder caps that just kind of pop out, but I don't. They're never going to. They're literally never going to. I don't have that kind of a frame. Yeah. I never have. I never will. And wanting that and wishing that isn't going to change it. So
everyone's working with their own stuff, right?
Some people have calves who don't even work out. It's fucking annoying.
Yeah. Why? How? Who are you? I just started doing calves the other week.
I know I need to. I know it's
I've
good.
been training for years, and I've just started doing,
Bro.
but only because I needed to for tennis. Anyway,
Yeah. Well,
'cause my sister got on my ass about it.
no, training calves is really good for your body and
Yeah.
your feet and like your movement. So we should be training them. I kind of gave up on them because I'm like,
I
fuck,
did.
my calves are never going to grow.
I gave up on them too. I just have chunky calves, but no muscle.
Dude, I literally
Like, where is this coming
I
from?
literally hold fat in my calves. It's
Yeah.
such a weird plate. Like, why is
Yeah.
there
Like, my shins are nothing special, but my calves are just like
like
there.
Why is there so much fat on my calves? Like,
I just hate I just hate on my calves. Anyway,
if I could spot reduce somewhere, it'd probably be my calves. Such a weird.
or at least just have a little bit of definition
Yeah,
down there.
like
at
something.
least, like, I know there's something under there. They're just
there.
like they're just chilling. They don't really do much.
And this goes actually perfectly to, you showed me a phrase that I've never heard of ever. And it kind of goes along with the silliness
right.
of long and lean
geez.
muscle. Legging legs.
Legging legs.
What is that?
I literally only saw one video on this, but it
I'm sure
reminded
there's
me.
now you're gonna hear your phone heard you.
Damn it. Freaking phone. Legging legs is code, I guess, for just having a thigh gap. Like, apparently that's coming back around. I thought we were past that one too.
Yeah.
But that was a big thing happening on TikTok again, I would say, in the past few weeks. Thankfully, I did not look up the hashtag because I'm not trying to get that on my For You page. But people are like, "Oh, you have legging legs," and it's like same thing as what you said. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Yeah.
But everyone who was kind of like posting it or looking at it, it was like, no, you're just referring to someone who has a thigh gap because you're associating being able to wear a piece of clothing with a thigh gap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now there are definitely certain clothes that look better on certain body types, like for sure. Like as someone who has a broad back and, sort of larger chest, I can't wear certain things. Like I just can't. I look like a tent. I just look horrible. I have a short torso. That's why I wear things that are cropped, because it looks very weird if I don't.
Yeah.
So there's certain things, like everybody's body type is different, but leggings I feel like are like the universal, like they're like the one
universal, like the comfortable
that everybody looks good in. Like everybody looks good in leggings.
And they're just so
all
comfortable.
body types. So fuck your legging legs, TikTok.
Yeah,
Suck
literally.
it.
Like that's like that. Just mic drop. That's it.
Yeah,
just like
fuck your legging legs.
Get
no thigh gaps.
Go back
here.
to what year 2000 with that? When did that pop up?
Listen,
go back to Tumblr with that.
Like, now if you have a thigh gap and you want that, that's also fine. That's on you. That's your prerogative.
Yeah.
But we don't need to be striving.
I spent too many years growing up like stressing over the fact that I didn't have a thigh gap.
Yeah.
Like, just like not gonna happen.
No, probably not in the cards for most of us. But if it is in the cards for you, that's also fine.
That's also
right.
fine,
Like that's also fine.
But still, don't go by stupid terms like these.
No. We're gonna de-influence everybody from using that term, please. You heard it here first, maybe not, but if you did hear it here
we
first,
need a gavel.
Yeah, we're done. We're not doing. That was the worst.
That was the worst gavel.
The weakest.
You just clicked your pencil.
I was really trying to be like so dramatic with it because I'm normally dramatic with everything else, and it
wasn't that.
It fell so short.
It felt very short.
So hey, here's the pretend gavel.
Loco Court.
Yeah.
Tap tap.
So we hope that we de-influenced you guys from some of these, and as always, we are definitely open to hearing more, topics or suggestions, and we actually do have an anonymous link in the show notes because there's sometimes where people want to share things or they want to share a situation, but they don't want to, hey, it's me.
Hey, don't know it's me.
Yeah, so you can feel free to always put that in the show notes, or if you want to just send us something on Instagram that you saw or you think would be great,
or give us something you feel like should be de-influenced.
Yes, something that you want to be de-influenced.
For the next episode.
Yes, that or what's the other word that we used for our last series? What's a reaction?
A reaction. Yeah.
Like I can't even remember what the name of it is.
That's the new we're just going to use that to advertise the new series.
Yeah, perfect. That's how.
What's the name for it?
What's the name of it? Yeah, that's actually more on brand.
Yeah.
We were saying the craziest shit earlier.
I had something else I was gonna. My brain just went blank.
You told me to put Pepto-Bismol in my ear.
God. So we were at Target and we were talking about piercings and like them getting swollen. And I meant to say Neosporin, but I saw this really bright pair of like slides. They were like this bright pink.
Pepto-Bismol.
And I thought in my brain when as I was talking, that looks like Pepto-Bismol. So I told her to drench her ear in Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah.
Not Neosporin.
Definitely de-influenced me on that one.
Yeah.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
The new trend is Pepto-Bismol on your cartilage piercing. Yo, does anybody else have a cartilage piercing that just does not stay? I've had 2 now that have gone awry. And like
they've left the building.
They have left the building. I have taken care of them. I have cleaned them. I have given them love.
Given them love.
Literally, my left ear is just like no cartilage piercing for you. So maybe unless I am just like a total anomaly, let me know if there's anybody else.
Unicorn.
Yeah, if there's anybody else in the world whose cartilage piercing does not stay. But yes, if you guys want to send us anything about cartilage piercings or otherwise, definitely do that. For all information about coaching or different services, and you want to sign up for our newsletter, you can visit redefinehealthybrands.com. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.